Welcome to Hoops Zooted. I'm your host, Evan Moore, and you know, good to see you. That the regular season has finally started, and we've played two games officially. We are now 1-1, and we lost to Denver. We won against Phoenix. A lot to talk about and a lot to dive into this week. And this week, I'm the chest is still hurting from the accident, but starting to do a little bit better. So we're gonna try it. I've got a little bit of jelly breath in my bubbler here, and that's what I'll be smoking tonight. And so anyway, we'll dive into this here in a minute. But here, let's see how are you doing tonight, Colin?
Hey, how's it going, Evan?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Starting to feel a little bit better. I've got the brace off here for doing the show just because it's a little easier to do the mouse and everything like that.
Congrats.
And the thumb is doing really good. Like as long as I don't move it, there's very little pain, but yeah, the occasional times where I forget and like try to grab something, you're just like reminded like, yeah, it's still broken.
Yeah.
But it's doing really good. So, and the chest is getting better, but just, yeah, not perfect yet.
glad to see you're going to be back on the smoking grind today. What was that strain again? Jelly breath or something?
Jelly breath. Yeah.
I hadn't heard of that one. That sounds very
it's a new one to me. It's intriguing. Very fruity terpenes and everything. So,
well, cool, man. I'm going to be just smoking another pre-roll here. And I'll also bring up we've got another guest, my good friend Devin. He's a Lakers fan and a Packers fan, so him and I are fully on the same page when it comes to sports. So yeah, we're gonna bring up Devin to talk some Lakers with us. What up, Devin? Happy Friday.
Yes, sir. Ready to get this weekend started. Appreciate the invite on the pod.
Yeah, man.
It's great to have you, man.
Thanks for coming on. So yeah, I guess let's get started with this Lakers game last night. Devin, did you get a chance to watch that one?
I did. I got to be to work at 4 a.m. in the mornings, but I made the trek through the night and refused to fall asleep on this one. But glad I stayed up for the whole thing. Bron did his thing in the fourth. Obviously, Booker and Beal were out, so it's not ideal look at the real Suns team, but I like what I saw in the second half at least. Definitely need D'Lo to be more consistent, show up on a consistent basis and be better than he was. But I think as long as we got Bron and AD playing the way they played, everything will be all right.
Damn, so you're on Central Time, right? So what? I started at 7 p.m. for me. I'm on Pacific Time. So what? That was like a 9 p.m. start for you?
Yep. Yeah, I got over at about midnight.
Damn, bro. I feel for the East Coast, Mid-Coast and Midwest and East Coasters whenever we got the games on the West Coast. That's tough for sure, but glad you were able to make it through it. Yeah, Evan, what were your thoughts on the game last night?
Well, I had an interesting day yesterday.
I know the answer to this question, but
yeah, I finally got my new car yesterday. But the whole process was like pulling teeth, and ended up having to file a formal complaint at the end of it, because when I got it home there was even a little tiny chip in the windshield and everything like that. Not going to mention who it is because I'm hoping they'll make it right. But anyway,
if they don't, that's a warning.
Exactly. That is a warning. That is a shot across the bow, because I'm not naming them now. But anyway. So when I sat down to watch the game, I was in a really kind of shitty mood. And that first quarter was abysmal. And I just I made the decision that I've had a shitty day. I'm tired as hell. I'm not going to let a bad game ruin my night too. I don't need that to top off the night. So I just went to bed, and I watched the other three quarters today. And, I do have to say that, that first quarter was awful, but my mood was also coloring a little bit of that too, because I was just in a shitty mood. And, there's still a lot of issues that they've got to fix for sure. But I also saw really a lot of positives in that game. That fourth quarter was amazing. They held Phoenix to, 11 points in that fourth quarter. And, for a, and 8 of those 11 points actually were in the final 2 minutes of that. So there was a 10-minute stretch where Phoenix, all they had was 3 points in that fourth quarter. So our defense was awesome. We made the comeback. We got the win, because the third quarter was almost as bad as the first, unfortunately. But, it was great to, get back and get that win. And, because they also didn't have Booker and Beal. And that was it shouldn't have been that close. But at the same time, it is still early in the season. Things are still rough around the edges in a lot of ways. But, I saw a lot of good positives. And, I've heard a lot of people like complaining about Gabe Vincent's minutes, but I can kind of, see why Ham rationalized that. He was really good on defense and, getting in a lot of passing lanes. And sure, his shot was terrible last night. But, you got to remember who our coach is. And he's always going to favor defense. That's why Cam Reddish is getting, minutes over Max Christie right now. It's because of what he's doing on defense. So, yeah, there's still a lot of good things there, and like, it's been a little bit of a rough start, and, because my other issue is, our 4 returning starters, I expected some better continuity and some better chemistry with them. And to me, it feels like they're kind of starting from scratch, trying to rebuild this chemistry rather than rebuilding on what they already had last year. But it could also just be, a product of, as Braun said in his press conference a little bit, experimenting and stuff like that. So I'm trying not to overreact too much, but that's basically where I'm at. Like there's still a lot of positives, but they got a lot of stuff to clean up for sure. A lot of stuff to clean up. But thankfully it's only game 2.
Yeah, for sure. So I got to ask you a quick question, just because I know you had certain feelings about Dennis Schroeder last year. So is Gabe Vincent the new Dennis Schroeder in terms of just like defensive minded guard that Darvin Ham loves and will favor?
It's starting to look that way. Like, yeah, I think there's, there's a little bit of a budding love affair going on there. It's not going to be hopefully as like as toxic as the Dennis one was, because it just went on. That one goes back for so long.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, I am starting to see a little bit of that, and a little bit of that with Cam Reddish too. And like I said, that's you just got to remember who our coach is. He's gonna favor the guys who do a little bit more on defense and hustle a little bit more. And it's just remember who he is.
Totally. But yeah, my take on the game, similar to what Evan and Devin said. Oh, that's funny. Your guys' names rhyme. Yeah. But first quarter was awful. Yeah. Obviously Suns were down, Booker and Bradley Beal. Although I have heard people make the argument that the role players, were arguably playing the Suns role players were arguably playing better because Beal and Booker were out and because there wasn't so much ISO ball going around. They weren't playing so much isolation ball with the 3 of those guys, whereas they were just kind of playing fluidly as with Kevin Durant as the leader. So I do think some of those guys, specifically like Josh Okogie, he's like the Laker killer. He went off, and he usually doesn't score more than 10 points. So I do think those guys, even though they were down 2 of their superstars, I think that in some weird reason, the role players will play better in those scenarios, specifically with the Suns. So yeah, Lakers looked bad in the first. They also looked pretty bad at the end of the third. So we were actually down 12 going into the fourth. And that's when we, like Evan said, just played lockdown defense. Christian Wood out of nowhere. Like this guy has looked, everyone says he's looked out of shape all preseason, all first game. We were like, it's going to take him at least 2 months to get in shape. And then out of nowhere, he just looked to be in phenomenal shape last night and was the main defender against Kevin Durant for the whole fourth quarter. So that was awesome. AD had a bounce back game, 30 points, like 12 rebounds. I was actually listening to an interview with Derek Fisher, and he was saying a lot of the time AD's like box score doesn't tell the whole picture. He was like, Derek Fisher counted like on his own, like I think it was 18 like contested shots that AD or like changed. I forget the word he used. It was either contested shots or like altered shots. And he's like, that doesn't go on the stat sheet, but he's just such a nightmare on defense for other teams. So great to see bounce back game from him. And then, like Devin said, Braun just activating GOAT mode in the fourth quarter. Had 2 or 3 buckets in a row where he just like split 2 defenders, Euro stepped a guy, and then like gets the and one while he's being brutally fouled. Um, the one thing I gotta say, Braun's got to make his free throws. That was. I mean, he's always had trouble, but that was annoying me. But yeah, overall, great game. A lot to improve on, but a win's a win, especially after that first loss. So I'm happy with last night, and excited to see what we got going with the Kings on Sunday.
Another really bright spot last night was C. Wood. He played his ass off.
Yeah. Oh yeah. On defense, and yeah, he had like 10 rebounds too. Yeah, we were getting out rebounded in the first quarter, and I was like, what the fuck? Like they don't have, like they were mostly playing small guys besides Nurkic and Kevin Durant. So I was like, what's going on? And then yeah, Wood had a bunch of rebounds in the second half and ended with like 10 points, 10 rebounds, and obviously just lockdown defense. So
yeah, I mean, I love that because he talked about how he was really going to commit more to defense, and he's now showing us instead of just telling us. So yeah, I really appreciate that from Christian Wood, and like I feel kind of justified because I've been pushing for him all summer, and I'm glad we got him. And that game kind of made me puff my chest out a little bit. Like, yeah, this is why. And it's like, and did you also see his tweet that he put out today?
What did he tweet?
Something to the effect of like, got my first win in a Lakers jersey, and praying hands or something like that. And it was, I thought it was great. Like, he obviously, really wants to be a Laker, and is happy to be here. And yeah, I'm happy for him. It's like, it's great to see.
For sure. And he's a hometown kid. He's from Long Beach. So
exactly. Yep.
And then I saw someone else say specifically when we had both AD and Christian Wood in at the same time, there was at one point where they were literally, we had 2 7-footers switching, both playing perimeter defense, switching on the perimeter and not losing a step, like both basically defending guards, and small forwards and power forwards. So that you just never see that, and that was special to see, and I'm excited to now see what Christian Wood can do for us defensively. I mostly had thought of him as a offensive guy when we signed him, so if he can help us be a more versatile defensive team, that's icing on the cake for me.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to see his jumper improve a little bit, but if he's going to do all the little things like that, he definitely
for sure. And I think he even said it, like talk about being self-aware, like we were talking about D'Lo being aware in the preseason when he had that comment about his defense. And Christian Wood said last night, they obviously praised him for his defense, and then he was like, yeah, I couldn't get my shot to fall, but like that'll come. And it's like he didn't have he was 0 for 2 from 3, so it's not like he took a bunch of shots either. But yeah, I think that'll come, and as long as he's playing good defense, we kind of same situation with Cam Reddish. Like he's playing really, really good defense right now, and Darvin's giving him a lot of minutes because of that. But I was joking with Evan, like his shot's a little bit broken, so he'll get that fixed as long as he's hustling and playing good defense. That's really all I care from our guys. We should have enough offensive firepower to make up for one guy who's doesn't have a great shot.
First game in the crypto too, bright lights. I'll give him a pass.
Yeah.
Definitely give him a pass.
Yeah, we had the stars out last night. Did you see our our Packer and Laker fan, Lil Wayne, was sitting courtside. Devin.
Really? Was he?
I forget who else they showed, but yeah, the stars are always out. At I always call it Staples, but yeah, crypto.com arena.
It's to me it's still hard not to call it the Forum sometimes.
Yeah, right. Yeah, totally.
But I'm old here, so so anyway, we also failed to spoil ring night, and that was a tough game too. I don't know if there's necessarily reason for concern with that, but there is. That is the mountain we still need to climb. That's where we want to get to. We've got to beat Denver if we want to win a championship. It goes through them. So, and that loss felt like, just like the playoff games, where, they kind of had control of it most of the time, and we'd get close, but just could never get over the hump. And, that also makes 6 games in a row now that they've beaten us. And, in a way it feels like they've got our number, but it also feels like we're right there. We're still right there. And that's one of the things that was so frustrating about that sweep. It's like, even though it was a sweep, I never felt like we were out of any of those games. We were right there in every one of those games. And, it didn't feel like a dominating sweep. Like I've seen, many dominating sweeps. Remember the Shaq and Kobe years, and in 2001, where they only lost one playoff game.
Yeah,
those were dominant sweeps.
Shaq's averaging 20 rebounds a game, and
I think it was like one of the lowest point differentials ever in a sweep in NBA history, if I remember correctly.
I think I did hear that. Yeah, the Lakers and Nuggets last year. I think that's correct.
Yeah, and so that kind of thing really matters, and so we are really just right there, but we do have some concerns. Denver is obviously still in D'Lo's head, in my opinion.
He didn't have the comeback game we were both predicting, the revenge game.
And then, I feel like in a lot of ways, AD also got in his head and, helped Denver scheme him out of the second half, because he only took 6 shots and, he missed all 6 shots, and, a lot of them were good open shots that he should be knocking down. And so, yeah, there's a mental hurdle that they still need to get over with Denver, and it's especially with guard play, and, because you're never going to contain, or not even contain Jokic. You're never going to stop Jokic. You're barely going to contain him.
Right.
You just have to, do enough to do better than their, supporting cast. And when, KCP's playing like he is, and, Aaron Gordon and everybody else playing like they are, it's hard. They're still the, the mountain we need to climb, the hurdle we need to get over, whatever you want to call it. Denver's at the top of the mountain.
For sure. Yeah, and just to piggyback off their 3 role players that you just mentioned, and the 3 main ones are Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, and our former Laker KCP. I was looking at the box score. I should pull it up, but those 3, going into the game, like you said, you're not going to stop Jokic. He's going to kill you. You're rarely going to stop Jamal Murray. He's going to kill you. But you should be able to stop those 3 guys I just named, Michael Porter Jr., KCP, and Aaron Gordon. And those 3 guys all shot like 80%. Michael Porter Jr. missed a couple threes, but KCP, I think, was 3 for 4 or 4 for 5 from 3. Aaron Gordon was like 1 for 2. And Michael Porter Jr., I think, was like 3 for 9. And then Michael Porter Jr. was also like 5 for 5 from, within the 3-point line. So I think combined, those guys shot like 75%, off on field goal percentage or something crazy. So, you got to stop those guys. You can't, we know Jokic and Jamal Murray are not, you're going to only contain them and hope to contain them, but you got to stop the role players. But like Evan said, there was a lot of good things too. One thing that's really interesting is we actually got to within 4 in the fourth quarter, and they took Darvin Ham took LeBron James out. I forget exactly how much time was left. Maybe one of these two can correct me, but was it about like 3 minutes left in the fourth when they took LeBron out when we got to within 4.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And so it was a huge media story because you could tell LeBron was unhappy when they were taking him out, and then after the game, news breaks that Dave McMiniman, a Lakers reporter, broke that I spoke to Darvin Ham, and this is LeBron playing 29 minutes a night is like going to be their kind of general goal and minutes restriction for him this year. In an effort to basically keep him ready for keep him healthy and rested and full 100% ready once we go into the playoffs. But a lot of fans were really upset that we took him out because we were within 4. And so it was really interesting because then going back to that Suns game last night, we actually saw Darvin Ham remove that minutes restriction. LeBron played the whole fourth quarter, and we saw what happened. Obviously it wasn't all LeBron that got us the win, but I think had we kept him in the fourth in that Nuggets game, we might have even been able to win that game, which is crazy because the Nuggets played really fucking well. And like Evan said, our guards struggled. So overall, the Nuggets, I think, are the best. I also need to touch on my standings predictions from last week's episode. I foolishly put the Nuggets third. They're either if they're not the first team, they're the first or the second. So that's, in my opinion, that's probably the best team in the West right now. So to lose, get within 4 and then take Braun out, not the end of the world, and then win against Kevin Durant the next or 2 nights later. So, Devin, what did you think about that opening night Nuggets game?
Man, it was a long one for sure. Felt like KCP was getting whatever he wanted. I think he had over 20 points.
Yep.
I mean, Jokic is unbelievable. Dude just does whatever he wants on the offensive end. Seems like Jamal Murray goes off every time against us. But yeah, we need. I would like to see some better play from Austin Reeves. He's been kind of disappointing to start the year. I was actually going to ask you guys if you're even concerned a little bit about him, or if it's just like a get the rust off type of deal. But he's not been good.
Yeah, dude, I totally agree. And Evan and I, as our listeners know, are both huge Austin Reeves fans. But I was the first to say it. Yeah, there you go. Evan's got the jersey on. That's actually a sick jersey, by the way. That's a retro, vintage, like Showtime Lakers jersey, but it's Austin Reeves, so that's a dope combo.
Yeah,
but
that's
no, I was the first to call it out. Like he looked, very sloppy and sluggish in these first 2 games, and like very hesitant and like not aggressive, which we didn't. That surprised me because he was super aggressive in the playoffs and in the World Cup this year or this summer. So yeah, I'll be the first to admit he needs to play better, and I think he will. That's the biggest thing is I'm not worried at all that he's going to look like this for the rest of the season. I think, we actually saw something similar with him at the beginning of last season. And in that same Derek Fisher interview, when he was talking about AD, he talks about Reeves. And he's like, hey, everyone needs to chill on Austin Reeves. He's still like 23 years old. He's in year 3. He's still like rapidly improving. He's like, I guarantee by Thanksgiving, he'll be playing a level up from what he's playing right now. And I guarantee by the New Year's, he'll be playing a level up from that. So, and probably another level up in the playoffs. So, he'll consistently get better. We know he's going to put in the work. I'm not worried, but definitely can't hide it or deny it that he has not looked himself these past 2 games. I guess, Evan, what are your thoughts on Austin's start?
Yeah, it's been a little like frustrating to watch because like to me, he's a little bit tentative right now, and he seems to kind of be thinking too much, and like he's not his like fearless self at this point. But like you said, like he's really got that Mamba mentality. Like I feel like he grinds and he like finds ways to bounce back all the time and learns from these bad games and bad experiences and stuff. So yeah, I do have faith that he's going to bounce back. But yeah, it has been disappointing. But I've also like the more I think about it, it does kind of make sense. He did did play in FIBA, so there could be just some, even not just physical fatigue but mental fatigue, at this point. And he's getting so famous right now that
It's
I also
insane.
just wonder. I just
And the
wonder if,
money.
yeah, the fame and the money, and it's just a little heavy right now. But I feel like it's gonna, he's a level-headed kid and he's gonna balance it out. But yeah, when you kind of think about like like everything that's gone on this summer and like how things have gotten inflated, it does kind of make sense that he was kind of set up for a little bit of a letdown in some ways. But let's let's see how he does here against the Kings, because it should be a really good matchup for him to exploit. So I think that's the opportunity for him to bounce back.
Yeah, I'm looking for all of our guards to bounce back offensively. Well, D'Lo actually, I shouldn't say that. He actually did play really well offensively last night against the Suns. Defense, he was definitely trying harder, but still, there's still a lot left to be desired, I think, as they say. But I think I look for those three guys to kind of have bounce back games against the Suns, because the Suns don't have. They do have Davion Mitchell, who's a pretty solid guard defender, but other than that, he comes off the bench too. He's not a starter. Other than that, their starting guards aren't great on defense, especially Malik Monk. So, hoping they can all have bounce back games. And yeah, hopefully. Well, I don't want to underestimate the Kings, but that feels almost like a get right game for me. But I guess, what are your guys' thoughts on that Kings matchup coming up?
I think it'll be another good test. One of the healthier teams in the West, so they should have all their complementary guys available. The game's in Sacramento, right? I think we go to Sacramento and then home for a back-to-back against Orlando.
Yep.
So yeah, it'll be another good test. Hopefully the role players continue to improve. But yeah, I'm so used to seeing Austin Reeves everywhere, both ends, all over the court. It's impossible not to notice him in these first two games. It's like, where the hell is Austin Reeves at? Like, you forget he's even out there.
And there's one specific clip that went a little bit viral from last night, that a lot of the X's and O's guys on Twitter and just content creators have kind of called out. Shout out to my guy Sean Davis. I think I saw it on his account with Lakers Nation. But there was a specific pick and roll play with Reeves and AD where AD comes and sets the pick. Austin slides over, and then AD rolls, and AD's just wide open, and Austin misses AD on the roll, and he, I think, kicks it out to Taurean Prince for three, and Taurean misses it.
I saw AD got a little irritated on it too, where he's like,
yeah, AD's calling for the ball, wide open, perfect pick and roll, and Austin just missed it. It's I don't know why he missed it, but he missed it and clearly kicked it out for three, and a lot of people are calling him out for that, but I think we all said, I think he'll bounce back, and I think it's a combination of things, of potentially bad matchup in those two games, a little bit of jitters for all the reasons Evan mentioned, with just everything he's been through, mentally, emotionally, with the contract, the rise in fame. He's been playing basketball for basically a year straight now, so I get it, and I think I have no fear that he won't bounce back. So hopefully we can see that against the Kings on Sunday.
I think Evan hit it right on the head with everything he was saying. So, and it's just two games. It's early.
Yeah.
He'll get right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So anyway, let's move on to the next topic. Back to the Suns now. The Suns got charged for tampering. And, I remember a day when, we used to make jokes about, nobody gets charged with tampering except for Magic Johnson.
Chill.
Exactly. Chill on that. But yeah, it seems like the league has really, cracking down on tampering here in the past couple of seasons. They got the Knicks last year with Jalen Brunson, and now they've gone after the Suns here with Drew Eubanks, and the Suns have
Which, can we
lost
just
their.
stop for a second and just laugh that the Suns got hit with tampering for fucking Drew
For
Eubanks?
Drew. Yeah, I should say that.
I
I should
get
say that
tampering for
again.
Brunson. I
Of
get it
all
for
people.
Brunson or for a
Of all
star.
people, man.
We're
Yeah,
talking about a backup center here.
Exactly. That should be repeated again. Drew Eubanks.
Yes. Sorry to interrupt. You can continue now. Evan.
No problem. No problem. It does need to be emphasized.
For sure.
We're talking about a guy that played so trash last night. I'm pretty sure they gave Eric Gordon some center minutes for him.
They did. They did.
It was
And actually, Eric Gordon looked pretty good last night, I have to say. But anyways, Evan, you can finish your thought there.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Oh man. So anyway, they ended up losing their 2024 second round pick for this. And I also have to say, like, you know, for tampering, that's also like that's still a slap on the wrist. Like, you know, like if we're really gonna crack down on tampering, I guess like shouldn't it be a first rounder? But like I don't know. I mean, that's my opinion. A second rounder, they seem still like they're just like candy. Like people just, you know, toss them in for trades wherever, and like you know they just don't have as much value because it's a coin flip whether that second rounder is going to pan out or not anyway. So yeah, that one. What do you guys think about any of that? You know, the punishment, or you know, or just it being Drew Eubanks or whatever.
Yeah, I think it's fucking hilarious. I always think of Drew Eubanks because he was in that rap video. He was on the Blazers last year, and he was in that freestyle rap video that Dame did when they got like stuck on a plane in the snow, and like Drew Eubanks is like in a hoodie, like bobbing next to Dame, just looking like a fucking idiot. So yeah, when the Suns, you know, when they signed him, he's a decent signing. He's you know, I guess he's a solid backup center, but I thought it was kind of funny when they signed him and everyone was talking about like, oh, this is a good depth move for the Suns. And then, yeah, now finding out that they like had to tamper to get him and they're now losing a second round draft pick because of it is hilarious. And on top of all that, like Devin said, the fact that this guy just shat the bed last night against the Lakers is probably the best part. So yeah, Devin, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I didn't even know they tampered for him until I saw the ESPN notification or whatever that said what they were losing for it.
Yeah.
That they had been charged. I had no idea, never would have guessed it. I think it's fucking hilarious that it's Drew Eubanks of all people. But yeah, the fact that he literally couldn't do anything right last night, fouling, turning the ball over,
hilarious,
play defense, and then they put Eric Gordon in there for some center minutes, and that was the cherry on top. So
yeah, Eric Gordon, I gotta say, I know I just said it, he did surprise me. That guy's like 38 years old, and there was talks of the Lakers possibly wanting to sign him or trade for him, and I was always like, what the fuck? No, like we do not want Eric Gordon. That guy is cooked, and he actually looked like he had a little bit left in the tank last night. Maybe it's because it's game 2 of the season, but we'll see with that guy. But moving on around the league here. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Evan.
No, it's okay. I was just say, in regards to Eric Gordon, he's always been just up and down, in my opinion. Like he'll give you a good game like that, and then, you know, a crappy game the next game. So like, it's just the inconsistency in a lot of ways as he's aged, in my opinion.
Totally. But moving on around the league, so we had the debut of Victor Wembanyama. I think it was actually might have been the first game they played, or no, ring night was the first one, but I guess Wednesday night it was the first game that was on. And so we saw the debut of Victor Wembanyama with the Spurs. There was an article that came out right before the game by Brian. I actually might have been an interview on SportsCenter where Brian Windhorst was basically saying that Wemby is the most skilled rookie prospect he's seen, and he believes he was more skilled than LeBron as a rookie, which is just a hilarious, especially since we know Windhorst was like used to be a huge LeBron guy. And like something happened with them because he like stopped reporting on LeBron. And so I don't know. I think he also might have made that comment out of spite because something's going on with them. But and then to see, Wemby actually had a solid opening game. I think he had like 19 points and like 12 rebounds, maybe, I want to say, and like a couple of blocks. But then you look at LeBron's. I think a lot of people were doing side by side comparisons after this comment, and I think LeBron had like 28 points in his rookie night with like 9 assists or something. So yeah, I don't, looking at Wembanyama, he's definitely an alien, definitely super insanely skilled. But his body is so so tall and so lanky that he has a lot of like restrictions. I think that LeBron didn't have, just like with mobility. So I'm taking rookie Bron, but I'm also like Victor Wembanyama is definitely here and here to stay. And the Spurs look great. I think they're going to be a problem this year. So yeah, what did you guys think about this Brian Windhorst rookie Wemby is better than rookie Bron comment?
Yeah, I would say LeBron was definitely more polished at this time.
Yeah,
His skills
exactly.
are more polished. Vic still has a lot of potential. We'll see if he ends up getting a body like Giannis or if he stays skinny like KD. But yeah, he doesn't have a lot of weight down there. He's gonna get pushed around a lot. They're gonna make it tough for him. Hopefully he stays healthy. He is fun to watch, but yeah, I would say LeBron was definitely more pro ready at the time, and he was the whole package, man. Defense, offense, distributing, playmaking. It was special. He's been special since high school.
Yep. Yeah, Evan, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, my basic opinion on this is that I feel a statement like that when you're comparing like two great players like this, like it's almost insulting to both players to compare them.
Yeah.
Because first of all, they're like, completely different skill sets.
Yeah.
And completely different body types. Just like and that to me alone, like you shouldn't be doing this big comparison because they're both incredibly skilled, but like in different ways, because LeBron was the most incredibly skilled passer that I've ever seen at that age. Like, closest I've ever seen to Magic Johnson, that like nobody else at that young age between those two were that good at passing the ball. I mean, they're savants at it. And Wemby is a savant at knocking down threes and breaking down people off the dribble and blocking shots. I mean, that reach that he has is
Insane.
just absolutely insane and scary. Like, I mean, the windows in the NBA are small as it is, but adding him to that defensive side, like it's insane. And it's also kind of fun to watch too, because like, he'll come out of nowhere and just like that reach, like just disrupt so many shots as well as just knock them into the cheap seats. And like, yeah. So that's the big thing for me. Like you're comparing an apple to an orange, basically. And people say these kinds of things for headlines, and I'm glad you brought up the point about Windhorst and the relationship between Bron, because that is probably a big reason why he is saying things like this. And it's also they'll say these things just just for the headline and just to get people like us to be talking about it. But anyway, my main comment on that is to just stop comparing players and just kind of appreciate them for their individuality. Like, there are a lot of players that are very close, like Kobe and Mike are very close in skill set, but they're still very different players when you break them down. So like, I want people to, appreciate their individuality a little bit more. And like, it's okay to do a player comp, but when you do a player comp, like give some reasoning for it and don't just do this like he's more skilled at this age than this other one, because there's no way to quantify any of that, and it's kind of BS talk, bullshit. So anyway,
Yeah, definitely just a reminder to appreciate greatness. I think that's just a recurring theme, I think, on this podcast. And just speaking of appreciating greatness, one thing that I did just remember when Devin was saying that LeBron's basically, been good for 21 years. In the game last night, there was a play in the fourth quarter where he jumped up to block a shot. I don't know if it was a shot or a pass from Kevin Durant. And this guy, there's a viral picture going around. This guy jumped at least 40 inches in the air in year 21. I actually thought when I first saw the photo, I thought it was photoshopped, and I was like, that's got to be fake. And then the Lakers, like the official Lakers Instagram account, released a clip of the whole play.
Was
You can
that
actually see
that
you
high
can see.
resolution picture that you retweeted?
Oh, dude, it's insane.
Yeah.
And so yeah, just to see that in year 21 is absolutely insane. So his longevity just continues to blow my mind. I think he played the entire fourth quarter. So appreciate greatness, people. Appreciate
unreal.
greatness. Yeah.
So anyway, let's move on to the next topic here. So now the NBA has decided with the All-Star game to go back to East versus West format. So to me, this just kind of feels like they've kind of thrown up their hands and kind of run out of ideas and are just like, let's go back to how it used to be. And, there's still so many things wrong with the All-Star game, and I don't think this is going to do much to fix it. So to me, like, what I'd rather see than the All-Star game would be if we could get like maybe some one-on-one or a little 3-on-3 format with a lot of the players. That could be, really interesting, and, maybe even settle a lot of people's debates about who's better than who, or just be fun to watch in a lot of ways. So anyway, what do you guys think about, as the NBA just kind of like thrown up the white flag and surrendered? Do you think there's anything better that can be done for the All-Star game? What thoughts do you guys have?
So I have a couple thoughts. I definitely agree with Evan. It's definitely the NBA like trying to just put lipstick on something that they've already, put lipstick on something that's already been used, kind of deal. But I'm also excited though to go back to that format, because especially now we talk about constantly how much better this year and last year, how much better the Western Conference is than the Eastern Conference in terms of just we've got like 12 solid teams in the West Coast, and there's probably like 5 solid teams in the East. So I do think it'll be a good reminder to just have the West beat the shit out of the East and kind of remind the East, like, you guys are inferior. Yeah, they can definitely. I hadn't really thought about like how I would want to do it. I like Evan's suggestion of like, yeah, doing maybe like a 3-on-3 tourney, and then like also maybe have 2 separate tournaments where we have a 3-on-3 tournament where like guys can sort of create their own teams, and then also maybe have a 1-on-1 tournament where players like have to opt into, like, it's an optional or something. But that would be sweet. But yeah, I at the end of the day, with anything's better than the stupid like draft pick format. I don't know. I thought that shit was super stupid and lame, especially when they didn't do it live. There was one year where they just like announced the picks on like had Woj like drop the teams on Twitter, and I was like, this is the dumbest thing ever. It was a little bit cooler when they announced it, but I'm just happy we're going back to East versus West. I agree with Evan's thing that 1v1 or 3v3 would be cool, but ultimately it'll probably just stick East versus West. Devin, what do you think?
Yeah, first off, I love the idea of the one-on-one tournament. I think that would draw a lot of eyes. That would be very interesting to watch. Good TV. But yeah, I like the simple format. I like the East versus West. I like to see the talent disparity. See which conference is going through what. I didn't mind the draft pick one. I mean, I'm a little biased being a Bron fan. Went 6-0, so
Yeah,
um,
he was a captain all 6 years
yeah,
or whatever.
yeah.
Uh,
But no, I like that they're going back. Keep it simple. Um, but I was gonna ask you guys, what do you guys think of the East? Who do you think it's Boston or Milwaukee? Both teams had their new additions had a solid first game. I've been seeing a lot of talk about who thinks who's better, and I'm pretty sure that they have the same odds to win the championship right now. I think they're co-favorites. Um, but who do you guys think is coming out of the East?
Yeah, so we did our standings predictions last week, right before the season started, and I have the Celtics over the Bucks, but I still have
We
even
both
after
do.
these first,
Yep.
yeah, we both do. Even after these first two games, I still have Celtics over Bucks, but I actually had kind of a hot take last week. Devin, I think you got a little bit of like frequency with your mic there, but
Better?
uh, maybe just go on mute and unmuted for a second. But yeah, so I had Celtics over the Bucks, but the Bucks are playing a lot better than I talked about last week. That I thought the Cavs were going to finish above the Bucks in the East. I had the Cavs at 2 and the Bucks at 3. Um, but after that first game of the Bucks last night, they looked fucking good. Dame scored, I think, 39 points. Giannis had like 25 and 12 rebounds and like I don't know how many assists. Um, and so I do have to say the Bucks look better than I thought, but ultimately I still have the Celtics coming out of the East. Evan, what are your thoughts after those first couple games in the East?
Yeah, the Celtics. I still think that they're the better team. It's pretty close, but you know I feel like the Bucks really lost a lot defensively when they lost Drew Holiday, and when I look at that backcourt of Beasley and Damian Lillard, like in a lot of ways for a lot of guards, that's going to be food. Like we got to be honest here. Like they're not stopping a whole lot of people. So
Right.
like Dame's going to have a lot of like a lot of 40-point nights and stuff. For them to win. So yeah, I think that they're still going to be a really good team, but I feel Boston's the better team. Porzingis is looking really really good, and I think that he's a great fit for them too. So you know I really like Boston, just because with the addition of Porzingis and Drew Holiday, I think that puts them over the top. Because initially, before they had Drew, I would have picked the Bucks, but now that the Celtics do have Drew, I think they're just a little bit better.
Agreed. And I saw some crazy stat from the Celtics first game where who did the Celtics play in that first game? Was it the Heat?
Knicks?
Oh,
Or, yeah, the Knicks.
Knicks.
The Knicks guards went when Drew Holiday was guarding the Knicks guards that night, I think combined they were like 1 for 17 shooting or like something crazy. So he just absolutely locked down the perimeter, which I would expect nothing less from Drew Holiday. And Evan and I talked a lot about when they made that trade, all the great things that Drew Holiday brings to a team. And yeah, Celtics are going to be really good. So answers Devin's question. I think both of us have Celtics, but the Bucks are no joke. I just think defensively they're a little more suspect than the Celtics.
For sure. Yeah, I like that both new pieces had a big game. It was nice to see Porzingis show up. Hopefully he can stay healthy and keep balling out like that. I was talking to one of my buddies, and I personally think if they had Drew in that game, what was it, last night against the 76ers, I think they would have lost by double digits.
Really?
Yeah, just Drew he doesn't do what Dame did last night. Even being able to get to the free throw line, Dame had 9 free throws in the first half. Drew Holiday made 8 his entire career with the Bucks, and that was his career high for a game. Dame had 9 in the first half. His ability to get to the line, um, his ability to score, close, take over. The 76ers shot the lights out too. Granted, they might not have done that with Drew Holiday guarding, like Maxey and shit. But I just think Dame's ability to keep the Bucks within reach. I mean, Maxey was going off, Oubre went off, Tobias Harris had a nice game. Um, yeah, I think if they had Drew last night, they lose by double digits. I also think you have to throw Bud into that conversation too, though. I think Adrian Griffin, he'll be all right, but yeah, if they had Drew and Bud, and they just the way Dame's able to score.
Yeah. No, that's actually interesting. I wouldn't have. I didn't really think. Well, I hadn't even thought about it that way. But I don't know if they would have lost if they had Drew last night. But I mean, yeah, Dame was incredible. And talking about getting to the line, the guy was 17 for 17 for free throws last night, and I think he had 39 points total. So, yeah, it's interesting. You know, they gave up a lot of perimeter defense and sort of guard defense, but they also got, you know, probably one of the most, besides like Steph Curry, probably the best like offensive guard in the game. So,
For sure.
you know, that'll be super interesting to watch. And I actually like Adrian Griffin, but and then like you said, the Sixers played well. I think Kelly Oubre they got him on a veteran minimum. He had an incredible game and was like shot insanely efficiently.
Yeah.
And so it'll be super, super interesting to kind of see how this James Harden situation plays out, which is kind of a nice segue into our next topic, which is that James Harden didn't play in that opening game for a lot of reasons. I guess I'll give kind of the quick synopsis, and then you guys can give your thoughts. So I think like right around when we recorded our last episode a week ago, we had found out that James Harden was away from the team, or like missed a practice. I think he had like just missed his first practice last time we recorded. And we didn't really know what was going on. We thought it was just like out of spite. And then so he ends up missing 10 days of practice with the Sixers. And like for the first week, there wasn't much reporting. Like everyone just kind of assumed it was, you know, because he was pissed at Morey. And then it comes out like, oh, he was actually dealing with a family emergency. His mom was super sick and he was tending to her. And then there was some other reporting saying that wasn't the case. And so ultimately he did rejoin the team after these 10 days, and he tried to get on the flight to go play the Sixers because they were in Philadelphia. And he got, they were going to play the Bucks because they were in Milwaukee. And security turned him away at the airport and wouldn't let him get on the flight. So there's a lot of mixed reports. But yeah, ultimately they didn't have Harden. I think they might have been able to win that game if they did have him. But just, I guess, Evan, what's your thoughts on the continued James Harden saga, and where do we go from here?
Just like, you know, I knew this was going to get like crazy, but like this is already like, oh man. Yeah. You know, James, he's got, you know, he's testing the CBA like kind of to its limits, because, you know, I'm not sure if you guys heard also that you know, they're also going to be, the NBA is going to be investigating you know, into them and whether or not his absence in that game was, you know, medically or excusable under the new rules. So yeah, he's testing it like as much as possible, you know, because that game I have a feeling he was going to sit out, and it would have been like a huge fine. And I feel like Daryl Morey is stepped in and doing a favor for him right now. So that's kind of the way I look at it. And like, yeah, this whole thing has really gotten, you know, really interesting. And I you know, it's also, I feel like, you know, it's proving my point a little bit that I think Daryl Morey is doing his best to hold on to James, you know. So so yeah, it's really, really interesting. And I don't think he's going to be traded. You know, there were, you know, of course, like the big viral thing today was that Perk was suggesting that Harden should be traded to the Lakers to to fix our guard problem. And, you know, all I can say to that is get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, no thanks. Unsubscribe from Perkins.
No.
Um,
Like that's not no.
I wouldn't even want him on South Bay Lakers, man. Keep him the fuck away.
yeah, dude, we're good on that.
You know, and like, so the earliest, you know, anybody's going to trade for him at this point, I guess, is, you know, December 15th and all that. But like, I think it's going to be much longer because I don't think anybody really wants the headache. Like, you know, he's done this so many times that I don't think anybody wants to deal with it. Like, you know, the Clippers seemed like the only team that was interested, and, you know, they don't seem to be budging on price, and Daryl Morey doesn't want to take that. So I don't see how this resolves anywhere other than James Harden is going to be in Philly all year, and he's going to be disgruntled all year. And I feel bad for Philly fans in a lot of ways. That really sucks, you know. And, you know, they actually looked pretty good without him, you know, in that first game. And, you know, they're not going to be good enough to be like a number 3 seed for sure, you know, and especially if he doesn't play. But like in a lot of ways, they are better without him. And, you know, he's just, I feel like he's just going to create a disruption all year. And, you know, it's going to be interesting. Maybe it works out. Maybe, you know, Morey has stepped in and like they've patched that up. But like, I have my doubts, you know, because these fines are huge. When he starts missing games and he starts, you know, really being a problem, those fines are, you know, $500,000 per game, you know. And apparently he's got, you know, 18 million saved up to pay fines is the rumor that I've heard.
Oh, I haven't heard that. That's hilarious. Someone reported that.
Somebody reported that.
Stashed in his checking account, just ready to pay fines.
But like, man, that's still like that adds up quick. That's 36 games, you know, like, I mean, and for what? I mean, you're just throwing money away to the NBA to kind of prove like a childish point. Like, you know, like I just wish James would like kind of just knock it off and realize that, like, you know, you made this bed, you got to lay in it for a while. Like, just cut it out. That's my opinion.
Yeah, it's a super toxic situation. And just one other point that I missed in the synopsis of kind of just events that have occurred. Another report that came out this week amidst all of like James Harden getting rejected by security is that the Clippers have stepped back from trade negotiations with the Sixers. So the Clippers were Harden's like top, you know, destination that he wanted to go to. It sounded like the Clippers are actually interested in trying to trade for Harden. And then the report came out this week that the Sixers wanted Terrence Mann and the Clippers refused to include Terrence Mann in a trade. And that's basically where it stopped. And I guess the Clippers have since the report from Woj or Shams, I forget who reported it, was, you know, they've quote unquote stepped back from negotiations. So yeah, he's looking, it's a pretty bad situation. Devin, what are your thoughts on James Harden?
Yeah, like Evan said, I think he's trying to prove a shitty point right now, and he is absolutely not helping his own case. He's done this far too often. Nobody's at this point on him as if he turns into like a Russell Westbrook situation, gets bought out, get him for cheap and fucking test the waters with him. But like at this point, the 76ers are better off keeping him away from the team. He's just going to get in Maxi's way. Maxi's a young budding star who I think will help them more than James Harden would help them. And then, like you said, I heard the 76ers wanted Terrence Mann in a first, but obviously the Clippers aren't giving that up. They offered a bunch of role players. At this point, I don't think more role players are going to help the 76ers.
Yeah, and all they've got is old role players.
Yeah, Marcus Morris, Robert Covington.
Yeah,
like,
totally.
It's not moving the needle. But
Yep.
Also, like at this point, they're in jeopardy of losing Joel Embiid. Like, I don't know how much more he can take. So, yeah, they got some things to work through over there. But yeah, Harden is he's not helping his case. I saw a video the other day. He was at like a house party, a big ass house party and like curving chicks and shit. Like,
Dude, he
dude,
is
can you imagine what
so
he would do in LA? He would literally live in
oh
a
yeah.
club. Like,
Yeah.
but
Oh
yeah,
god.
yeah, I'm good on Harden. They said I think if he leaves to go to another team, this will be 4 teams in 4 years.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
that's ridiculous.
Um yeah, the one spot I could maybe see, it's not going to happen for a while because I think, like Evan said, people are just going to wait until the Sixers come down on price. But the one team I could maybe see working out a deal is the Heat, where they maybe package like Tyler Harrow and some picks or something. Um, and I could maybe see Pat Riley or Jimmy Butler or someone trying to request for that. But even that is a little bit of a long shot. I don't think Pat Riley would want to deal with Harden. That's a whole nother thing.
Absolutely.
That's definitely not
Mhm.
Pat Riley that is not his way
Mhm.
of operating. So I'm
Mhm.
sure Evan can probably speak a little bit more on that. Yeah,
And
I know he's
that's
got him in the background there. Uh, but
yeah.
yeah, Pat Riley's like
You
a
don't put
militant.
up with mess.
Yeah, he's a militant style guy who does not put up with fuckery, and Harden's got the most, fucks around the most of anyone. So
Yep.
yeah, I don't know. That's just the one reports I've been seeing is maybe the Heat will go for him, but
See,
I think,
my
like Evan said, he'll ultimately be kind of sitting on the bench, and I bet he actually ends up playing for the Sixers by the end of the year because it's just bad for both parties. But well, again, not our problem. I don't really care that much, but we will definitely be following it for you guys.
and my
Yeah.
thing
And
is,
actually, like,
go
go
ahead,
ahead.
Evan. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say one last thought on that. The way I kind of see it is like he's probably going to selectively choose which games he's going to get fined for. So like, whenever he's like going to a nice strip club place, that'll be the game he misses, and he'll take the
Yeah.
fine for that one. And like that's what he's got the 18 million saved up for.
It's like, I'm hungover today. I'm still drunk. Like, oh, I'll just miss this one. Pay half a
Exactly.
mil.
Yeah. And he'll just be toxic like that.
The
Instead
thing
of
with
doing 36 in a row, he'll spread them out.
and the thing with
Anyway.
Harden's attitude, like if he does come back, what's he gonna give you? Like he's the type of guy to give you like half-ass play, do
Oh,
his own thing, fucking step back threes, not play defense. Like I mean, he already doesn't do that, but he's definitely has no motivation now to help them at all. But back to Colin's point, I think if the Heat had anybody but Pat Riley in charge,
Right.
they would go for him. They almost seem like they're getting desperate at this point. They lost out on Dame. They didn't get Drew. They lost their starting backcourt from last year when they made the finals. Like I think if it was anybody but Pat Riley, they would find a way to pull the trigger on that. But yeah, Pat Riley's not going for that.
No
So
way. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, but moving on to a little bit NFL. I know we got deep into it with Van last week, who was a Denver Nuggets fan, previewing the ring night matchup. So didn't get a chance to talk NFL last week. So wanted to do a quick Week 7 recap and kind of a Week 8 preview. As I said earlier, obviously Devin, my guy, former fellow Packers fan. We're down real bad right now. We lost to the Broncos last week, which that was the Packers. I was talking about the Kings being the Lakers get right game. The Broncos is about as easy of a get right game as you can get in the NFL right now, and we did not get right whatsoever. We lost.
Got wrong.
Yeah, we got wrong by Russell Wilson and the fuck around gang. I think the final score was like 19-17. And the worst part about it, Devin, is because we fucking came back and we got the lead with I think it was like 2 minutes left, a minute left in the fourth quarter, and they just drive right down the field and kick a field goal with time expiring. But
yeah,
yeah, Devin, I guess what are your thoughts on the Packers right now, and then we'll get to Evans Ravens after that.
yeah, man. I think it's gut wrenching right now, just because every single one of our losses except the Lions game, which is probably the only game that we should have lost.
Right.
Even going into the season, I had us at 5-1 going into the bye. Um, but like the fact that we had a 2 possession lead on the Falcons, blew it. came back against the Saints, whatever. That's cool. But just how we lost these last two against the Raiders and the Broncos is absolutely devastating. I think there's a lot of self reflection that needs to be done by a lot of people. We're getting bit by the injury bug right now too, so I mean that's typical Packer shit. But yeah, I don't know. I think we're a 1.5 underdogs going into this game on Sunday against the Vikings. So can't remember the last time we were underdogs at Lambeau Field against the Vikings, but I feel like it's been a minute. But yeah, I need Love to settle down. Easy throws. He doesn't need to play hero ball. Take what's there, and I need Matt LaFleur to use Aaron Jones, man. Like the Niners are using McCaffrey with a broken rib. He's not 100%. Like at this point, there's really no excuses. Just run your dogs, man.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, gotta see more Aaron Jones. Like he's the most he's the best playmaker on our team, hands down. And you gotta give him the ball and at least give him a chance to make plays, which we have not been doing. And then, like you said, Love's got to settle down. I'm not a lot of, non-Packers fans, and actually a lot of Packers fans are like fully out on Jordan Love after these last 2 weeks. I'm not out at all. Like I did expect these rough bumps, and he's not getting much help either. Our O-line's banged up, so he's constantly getting pressured. And Devin alluded to it. Matt LaFleur, our coach, has just been, had in the past had thought of him as a pretty solid offensive play caller. His play calling this year has just been awful. And so he's not, hasn't been putting Love in great spots. And then Love also has just been constantly pressured. So, and he's also played, hasn't played great. He's had some turnovers and he's missed some reads. But, ultimately, like I said, he definitely has the fundamentals. He still has the super strong arm. He's got the great, the quick feet, just high IQ football player. So, it's his rookie year. It's his first year playing. There's going to be rough times like this. So I hope we can, the other part that you also mentioned is we're playing the Vikings this week, which the Vikings had sucked ass. And we thought they were like horrible and going to be like a first, number 1 overall pick with Jefferson being out. Since then, they've won like 3 games in a row without Jefferson. Jefferson's coming back soon. Jordan Addison, my guy from USC, is killing it for them. And Kirk Cousins, who Evan and I have kind of been poking all season, actually looks pretty solid right now. So they're about as hot as you can be right now, and we're about as cold as you can be. So hopefully, it's the NFL. Anything can happen. Hopefully we win, but not ideal times for Packers fans right now. But Evan, you're actually on the opposite end of the spectrum. So I want to hear your thoughts on how the Ravens are doing, because they looked fucking awesome last week. So,
Evan, who are you a fan of? Who's your NFL team?
The Ravens. So, like, I am very, very pleased with their performance after Sunday. Like, beating up on Detroit like that was really satisfying because, all season long, that offensive line has been banged up. And, it's been hard to get any kind of continuity going with them. But this past Sunday, they played phenomenally. And, because of that, like Lamar Jackson had his best game of the season too. And like, just, the big guys don't get enough credit. Like we talk about the skill players all the time, but those guys on the line, they're the ones that, put a team over the top. And if the Ravens can, continue to play like that with their offensive line and, their defense is playing as good as they are, yeah, I'm really, really pleased with their chances, for Super Bowl going forward. So yeah, that was a really nice win and best game of the season for them. Best game of the season for Lamar, who's been great all season. Really, I feel like, he's played within himself the most I've ever seen him. And, he's really kind of understood, how to, when and where to be a little bit reckless, and yeah, it's been great to watch. And yeah, I was just thrilled with Sunday.
Yeah, and also shout out to your guys' rookie receiver Zay Flowers. He has been fucking awesome. And he's the number one receiver threat for you guys. So to see a rookie, I know he was a first round pick. I expected him to be great, but he is like a bona fide WR1 right now. So shout out to him. And then kind of the only hole in the Ravens roster right now, in my opinion, would be at running back, and there's now rumors that you guys might trade for that. Derrick Henry is on the block for the Titans, and that the Ravens might trade for him. So, I mean, if you guys get Derrick Henry, yeah, you guys are definitely Super Bowl contenders in my opinion. But what are your thoughts on that rumor going around?
Yeah, like you said, I mean, that would be pretty amazing, but there is something to be said for, the way Derrick Henry's played this year. Maybe he's losing a little bit of tread on that tire finally. Like he has carried the ball so many times for the past 3 seasons. I think it's pretty close to record times. So yeah, like it would be good, but like he's just a change of pace guy at this point. And like, having him with Justice Hill and Gus Edwards, it'd be a nice combination, but it also depends on how much we're going to give up for him. Because, at this point in his career, I wouldn't give up more than, maybe like a 5th rounder or so for giving him up. So, but we'll see. Like, that would be great. We still got a couple weeks before the trade deadline. I think, what is it? November?
It's Tuesday, Halloween.
Oh shit! It's that soon. All right. So we'll find out by the next episode.
Okay, so it's that soon.
Yeah. And I do agree with Evan that actually it was funny. My friends from home, we did one of our friends put it together last year. They added up all of Derrick Henry's carries from high school all the way till now. Because the guy, he played all 4. He like holds, I think, the Florida State high school record for rushing yards. He played like all 4 years of high school. And then also got like run into the ground when he was at Alabama. And I forget the number, but just for the listener, Google Derrick Henry lifetime carries. There's a stat going around, and it's insane. So definitely agree with Evan that there's some tread on those tires, but also like just him in the playoffs, like that's the type of player that you want in a tough, cold January playoff football game. If you've got just a 240-pound like horse in your backfield that you can just give the ball to, like that's and we've seen what he's done in the playoffs. Like those are the types of dudes that even though they might be a little bit over the hump in the regular season, like you want him on your team in the playoffs. And like you said, I think he wouldn't go for much because like, I mean, even fucking Christian McCaffrey went for like not even a 1st round pick. So I feel like these superstars get traded for like almost nothing when they're, on the block towards the over the hump status. So yeah, I guess we'll find out by next episode.
Yeah. And, the other thing I do have to say is like, Henry and Lamar, on that goal line does make for one hell of a nice option play too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the
Exactly.
RPO game, if they got him, would be ungodly.
Yeah.
But the other thing about trading for him is whoever trades for him has to pay him after this year too. So nobody's going to give up a high draft pick for that.
Yeah.
You know how running backs are paid nowadays. So, but
very good point.
Yeah, that's almost like a rental. Like that's very common in the MLB. They do like the rentals where you basically trade for a player whose contract is up at the end of the season, so you're only getting him for like a half or a third of the season, and he might not even re-sign with you. So I could even see a rental situation where it's like, yeah, fuck it, we'll give up a 6th rounder for renting Derrick Henry for half a season in the playoffs. And like I said, I think just the playoffs alone, it would be worth it. But we'll be following it, and we'll, I guess, follow up for you guys next week. But yeah, moving on. That's it for our NFL and NBA talk. So we've got a good historical stoner circle for you guys this week. So Devin, every week we do a little segment on here called the Historical Stoner Circle, where we name 3. Usually it's like an athlete, a historical person and like a celebrity or an actor, and we name 3 people and we ask gas or pass. Basically, would you smoke weed with that person? So I'll start with our first one. We'll go through for each of us, gas or pass, and then we'll go on to the next one. So our first, I came up with the loaded the deck this week. So our first guest is Idris Elba. Gas or pass with Idris Elba, who I originally was going to do Stringer Bell from The Wire, and then I was like, "Fuck it, I gotta do Idris Elba and just as a whole." So, Evan, gas or pass with Idris Elba?
Oh, this is a definite gas. Like, yeah,
Yes,
I love not only Idris's acting, but I love his music too. His music is
that's right.
awesome. So like, yeah, I would love to fucking chill and vibe with Idris, and like, yeah, and yeah, I love his acting, and so he's a definite pass or definite gas for me.
Hey,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm behind myself right now. So
Devin, what about you?
I'm right there with Evan. Absolute chill sesh. Bring it on all day.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I'm with you guys. Gas, Stringer Bell, the character from The Wire I mentioned, is just all time. That's an all time show, and Stringer's an all time character. I always tweet the viral meme of him saying, "I want you to put the word back out. We back up." And we got the Lakers headband on it. But yeah, gas with Idris Elba for sure. He's the man. Incredible actor. I need to check out. There was a show I think that came out on Apple TV this year called like Hijack or something, where like the whole show takes place on a plane, a flight that got hijacked, and I think Idris Elba like saves the day. I'm not really sure. I hear it's a great show though, so I need to check that out. But moving on to our historical figure, Albert Einstein. Gas or pass with Albert Einstein? Evan, you go first.
definitely gas with Albert. Like, it would be fun to just talk about, so many things about with him, just science related, life related. He's just an interesting guy. And yeah, I would definitely want to, get high with him and, have him talk over my head a little bit. So
Yeah. I have no idea what you just said, but it sounded awesome. Yeah, he's definitely yeah. Devin, what about you?
Absolutely. I feel like he's one of those dudes that just would not stop talking, and he would just fucking hit you with information like shit you've never heard about, and you'd be sitting there like, what did he just say? And then he'd fucking keep talking and say something else. You wouldn't even have time to think about it. But yeah, that would be legendary.
Yeah, I'm with you as well. Definite gas. He would be dropping gems left and right. I'm sure a lot of it would go over my head, but we always talk about appreciating greatness and just trying to soak up knowledge. He would be a great guy to soak up some knowledge from. So this could be a controversial one. Our last one, not an athlete, but well, actually he is an athlete because he did play in the NBA, but currently a coach. Darvin Ham. Evan, gas or pass with Coach Darvin?
oh man, this one is so tough. I'm really torn on this one. Like, I really like Darvin. I like him a lot, but like, I think my fear is that like if I sat down and smoked with him, that like I might start ripping into him about some of the things that are going on with the team.
Like, you can use a challenge, right? Like, you can't just save those things for the next game, buddy.
You can take your hands out of your pocket sometimes, bro.
Yeah.
But I really like Darvin, and like I want to say yes, but like maybe just because of my crazy passion of being a Laker fan and just what I might say and might regret saying, I think I might have to pass.
That's fair. That is very fair. And also hilarious. I'm just picturing you just fucking going in on Darvin Ham, and him like not knowing what to do. Devin, what about you? Gas or pass with Darvin Ham?
I'm also torn on this just because like being a Lakers fan, like, yeah, it'd be dope to smoke a blunt with the Lakers head coach. Like, that would be awesome. But at the same time, fucking one pass around and he's so high that he's got his hands in his pocket and you can't fucking pass it to him. So, like, I don't know. I feel like that'd be weird. There's definitely a lot of other people I'd rather smoke with other than Darvin Ham.
For sure. Yeah, I'm also torn, but I think I ultimately have to go with Gas. Like Evan, I would definitely have the tendency to want to rip into him, but I feel like I'm also good at I can control myself enough, and if we're smoking, I would just get high enough. I feel like where I would like have a conversation with him about what's going on without maybe ripping into him, and maybe like thinking in my own stupid head that I can like convince him to maybe change his methodology, which is probably not true at all. But a hilarious moment from last night's game that I got to touch on that happened with that happened with Darvin, and then Devin just had a comment that fucking made me die laughing. So with LeBron's minutes restriction, obviously the first game against the Nuggets, he got taken out within 4 points when we were within 4 points. He only played 29 minutes. So against the Suns, Darvin left him in for the whole fourth quarter. We win the game. But there was a moment when I think he got to like 30 minutes. I forget, there might have been like 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, where you could tell, like, I think they actually had an assistant come up to Darvin, one of the assistant coaches, came up to Darvin, whispered in his ear, like clearly whispered, like, all right, he's at, 30 minutes or he's at the restriction. Darvin looks at LeBron like it's right at a time where they're able to make a substitution. Darvin looks at Bron like Bron just gives him the fucking death stare. And Devin had a hilarious comment in our group chat where he's like, Darvin, Darvin looked at Bron and Bron just looked at him and said, don't you fucking, I'm not coming out. I'll have you on the next bus out of here, buddy. Put your fucking hands in your pockets.
Yeah.
Fucking died laughing because that's probably exactly what happened. And he left LeBron in the game, and we won. And yeah, it was a fucking hilarious moment. So yeah, I had to bring that up with the Darvin Gasser pass. But yeah, that's our historical stoner circle this week. I loaded the deck for myself, but I'm glad that we got some. I'm glad we got some passing from you guys on Darvin Ham. So.
Well, cool, man. Like, so I guess we're gonna wrap it up here pretty soon, but like, we're gonna move on to what we're watching this weekend, and I'm still, getting back into the boys, and I just finished season 2, so I'm ready to catch up with season 3 and be all caught up.
Nice.
And yeah, I've been really enjoying it, like, because like I said, I had initially watched the first season and about 3 or 4 episodes into the second season, and just got distracted with other things and pulled away. And so getting back into it, like, I figured, it was great to go back and watch the whole thing, because there were a number of things I'd forgotten. And what I really like kind of appreciate about it is there's a lot of good, like, subtle social commentary about, the world today, and, just power dynamics between men, women, and children. And, just it's a really, well-made show, and a lot of fun. And yeah, so yeah, that's what I've been doing, is getting back into that. And also this weekend, we've got a Laker game on Sunday, and that's also what I'll be watching this weekend.
Nice. Devin, what about you? I think I heard that you might be watching some live sports this weekend.
Yeah, I'll be headed to the Badger Ohio State game tomorrow night.
Nice.
Halloween weekend here in Madison. We got a little Freak Fest festival downtown here, so should be pretty rowdy downtown. Hopefully we can fucking pull off a miracle. I don't
Is
think
Wisconsin ranked right now?
No,
Okay.
We're 5-2. We're first in the Big Ten West. With Iowa's loss last week to Minnesota.
Oh, right. Yep.
So we still got a chance at the Big Ten championship, but this game will go a long way. I don't think we've beat Ohio State in over 10 years. They were in Madison in 2009 or something like that. And we returned the opening kickoff when they had Terrell Pryor. And we beat And then Sunday morning, bright and early, I'll be headed up to Lambeau for the Packer game. So
Yes.
hopefully we can get a couple back-to-back dubs. I work 4 10s for my job, so I'm off on Tuesdays, so I'll be able to stay up on that Monday night and watch the Lakers. I'm planning on staying up Sunday night as well, but yeah, just a weekend filled with sports, man. It's my life.
Hell yeah, dude. Yeah, so Devin, just to give the listeners some extra info, I think, is this the first year that you're going to be splitting those season tickets, or have you
Yeah.
been doing that?
No, first year. This is my first game since 2017. So
Hell yeah. Yeah. So he messaged me before the season and he's like, dude, like best thing ever. Like I just got offered to like split season tickets with, because also background for the listeners, Packers season tickets are like the toughest. It's like Lakers season tickets. There's like generational wait lists for people to get season tickets. And, there's like joking that like, you can go a whole lifetime without getting off that wait list. So Devin, I think one of his friends or something like got off the wait list and like offered to like, sell him, what was it, 4 games, 5 games?
going to 3.
3 games. So yeah, and he's going to the first one this weekend. So he messaged me when he got those tickets, and I was super jealous. And I was like, "Oh, dude, I gotta find a game to come up for." Which, of course, I got too busy and didn't figure that out. But next year, I'm coming up for a game. But yeah, for what am I watching? I guess a recap for last week. I was lucky enough to go to the USC Utah game here in LA at the LA Coliseum. I actually was live tweeting some of the plays from the Hoops Zooted Twitter. You guys should go check us out at Hoops Zooted. But very unfortunate ending for USC. We lost to them. I think it was 32-31. We had an amazing comeback with like 1 minute left where we scored a touchdown to go up with a minute left. And then similar to the Packers game, Utah drives right down the field, kicks a field goal as time's expiring, and USC loses. So I'm struggling in football right now. All my teams are losing the same way, it feels like. So that Lakers win was huge for me last night. But what am I watching this weekend? I finished Mission Impossible last weekend too. Not as good as I expected, but still great action movie for stoners. Highly recommend. But not as it got like I think a 91% on Rotten Tomatoes and like Metacritic, so it wasn't quite that good. Yeah, I think I'm gonna finally get into Gen. I think it's Gen V, which is the sequel to The Boys that Evan was talking about. So that's what I'll be watching that, and then obviously our Lakers and my Packers. So that's all I got this weekend. But yeah, I think that's all we got for you guys today. So Devin, thanks again for coming on, man. Seriously, can't thank you enough. We really appreciate it, man. Obviously, being a Packers and a Lakers fan, always love talking ball with you. Super easy. So glad to have you on, and we'll have to get you on another time in the future for sure. Hopefully, when the Packers are doing a little bit better, we'll be circling up on that.
Hopefully for a little playoff run or something.
Yeah, right. Maybe right when we sneak in the wild card or something.
But I appreciate you guys inviting me, having me on. I like what you guys are doing. It's good work. Spread the word about you guys.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to have you. So anyway, we're going to sign off here, so everybody have a good one. Peace and stay zooted.
Stay zooted, y'all.